That's it. Are we live?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the When It Worked podcast. I'm your host, Julian Leahy. Today I'm joined by Karen Evers and Luis Hernandez. Welcome to the show, guests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, as discussed, we're going to play a game of Jeopardy, and then we're going to meet our guests, the ones that are here. All right, let's bring up the board, and we'll get straight into it. Okay. Now, Lewis, you're on the left. You can kick things off. The categories today are British history, double letters. These are words that have two letters in them twice.
Oh.
Yeah, like Mississippi or something. Holidays, political slogans, rocks and minerals, Rogers and Hammerstein, who are playwrights, I believe. What would you like, Lewis?
Well, it's that time of year, so let's go right into political slogans.
Political slogans, okay. Hell no, we won't go was a chant often heard at rallies against this war.
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yeah. Sorry, how do I...
You just holler like that. Perfect.
Just holler.
Yeah.
All right. Don't have to ask a question?
Lewis, what would you like? Next.
Political slogans for 200.
Political slogans for 200. In the early 1930s, Americans were told that it was just around the corner.
End of the Depression?
Yeah, something good. Any idea, Karen?
I would have said the same thing as Luis.
I think it's prosperity because I peeked at the answers. Prosperity. Well, I don't get any points for that. You're still in control, Lewis. What would you like?
Let's stay with political slogans.
Political slogans for 300. He railed against the Do Nothing 80th Congress during his whistle stop campaign. Who knows? This could be old. It could be new. Who was it? Whistle stop campaign.
No clue.
No clue either. It was Truman.
Huh?
Is it Harold Truman? What was his first name?
Harry.
Harry, it
yeah.
was Harry, okay. It must have been like World War II era or something. What would you like now, Lewis? Should we keep going?
Yeah, let's just finish that one off.
In 1912, this presidential candidate declared, "We stand at Armageddon and we battle for the Lord."
Roosevelt.
Let's take a look. It was Teddy Roosevelt. Well done, Lewis. Somebody
Nice
paid
job.
attention in history. All right.
500.
500. Who said yes we can in the 2008 election?
Obama.
Barack Obama is correct. Well done, Lewis. You are on fire. 1,000 points. Tremendous. What would you like now?
How about double letters?
Double letters. And Karen, if you know the answer or you want to have a guess, jump in. There's no penalty for guessing. Would you like 100, Lewis?
Let's start with 500.
Go big or go home.
Big.
A tenant
right.
under lease.
A lessee.
A lessee. And you're the real estate guru, aren't you? That was right up your alley.
That's right.
Well done, Lewis. What would you like?
400.
400.
Or double.
Quality of ice, eels, and banana peels. A quality of ice, eels, and banana peels. I have no idea what they're talking about here.
Yeah, no clue.
No clue. Let's have a look.
I'm going to guess slippery, but I don't think there's two in there.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
No.
You were close. The answer's on the screen if you've got good eyesight.
Can't see it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's blurry.
It's slipperiness.
Oh.
Because we needed those extra two S's on the end.
Extra S's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still in control, Lewis. Should we go?
Yeah, let's go 300.
300 double letters. 1984 hot stepping movie starring
Footloose.
Kevin Bacon is Footloose. Well done, Lewis.
I'm sorry.
You're on
You're
fire.
okay.
You'll get a chance, Karen. Trust me. You'll come storming back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like? 200 double or something different?
Yeah, let's go double 200.
On a sailor's chest, it might say mother. On share, it's a butterfly.
No idea.
Or on Joe Rogan's arms, it says hundreds of things.
Never looked at his arms.
Me neither.
Tattoo is the answer. You're still in control, Luis Hernandez.
All right, let's close that one out.
100. He raises and tends the honey kind.
Beekeeper.
Beekeeper. There goes Karen. That is correct. Well done. On the board for 100, and you're in control now.
Oh, look at that. Not British history. I just gave you a hint of what I'm going to avoid.
Me too.
Holidays for 500.
Holidays for 500. Until 1752, the 13 colonies observed Annunciation Day, the 25th of this month, as New Year's.
January.
January. Let's take a look. It was March. Who
Oh, wow.
knew
That's
Annunciation Day was March? Never heard of it. Sounds very Catholic.
Nope.
What would you like,
does.
Karen?
We'll do 400.
400. Holidays. Muslims fast during daylight hours for this entire month.
Oh,
What month is it? We know what it is.
It's Ramadan, but
When do they do it?
is it May?
May?
I was going
Could
to say
be.
April.
I'm thinking July. I'm not sure. It's... Oh, Ramadan. Who said that first? Karen.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to.
The answer is Ramadan.
Oh,
Strange.
because it said month. I was about
I
to
know.
say it too.
Crazy, but maybe that's the month. Karen,
okay.
you're on 500
Karen got
points
it. Right.
and in control.
Keep going.
Keep going. 300.
300.
Holidays.
Yeah.
O. Henry called it the most purely American holiday.
July 4th,
Oh, good answer.
Independence Day.
Karen, do you want to shoot off a guess?
I guess randomly Labor Day.
Okay. It was Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Yeah, I knew it was that
Yeah,
one. That's why I kept it open.
Sure.
Still in control. Would you like 200 holidays?
Sure, 200. Let's go.
Meaning removal of meat. It's Rio's 4-day pre-Lenten festival. Before Lent. Removal of meat. Now, what do they speak? Portuguese? What's meat
Yeah.
in Brazil? It's not carne, is it?
Carnival.
Oh, carnival. Is that what it means? Removal
Yeah.
of meat. Who knew? Well done, Renee.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karen.
Let's do 100. Let's keep going.
Okay, 100. October holiday, which Mexicans call Dia de la Raza, is celebrated in the US as this.
Halloween.
Oh, right. And is that the Day of the Dead?
Yeah.
Oh, it says
No, it's
Columbus
Columbus
Day.
Whoopsie.
Lewis, I thought you
No,
might have
that's-
had that one with the Spanish.
Well, I'm not Mexican though.
Oh, okay. But you understand the words, though. You're in control still.
No, Karen's in.
Karen.
Let's go to Broadway. How about Rogers and Hammerstein? Let's do 100 first.
100.
That just scares
That's
me a
hit
little bit.
Broadway.
Okay.
The Pair's lyricist. Who was the lyricist for Rogers and Hammerstein? Or Hammerstein?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Who knows? You have to
Yeah.
really know.
As soon as you say it, I'm going to know it. But
That's a
This is all you,
$100
Karen.
question.
I don't know anything about them.
They're saying that's easy. It was Hammerstein.
Mm,
Okay.
okay, 200.
200, Rogers and Hammerstein. The Times' Brooks Atkinson called it an original and beautiful excursion into the Far East. Something to do with China, perhaps?
Yes. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
blanking, but I can see the cover.
Silk
of it.
Road.
Silk Road. The King and I.
The King and I. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, with old
Sure.
the bald chap in the movie.
Yep.
Yul Brynner. Would you like to continue down this terrible road?
Yep.
300. Their first professional collaboration was this 1943 landmark musical. Their first professional collaboration.
Sound of Music.
Was that them? Let's take a look. It was Oklahoma.
Oh, great musical.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move because we're kind of done with
Tough-
that. Rocks and minerals for 100.
Tough day today. Term for
Mhm.
minerals from which metals are extracted.
Oh. Mining.
Or
What do we call the minerals from which the metals are extracted?
Mining? No.
Like if you've got a whole bunch of
Tumbling?
iron,
tumbling?
but it's in rock form, we call it something.
Or?
iron
Or
ore.
sounds good to me. Or is correct. Luis Hernandez.
All right. Gosh, these are tough. Let's just go with rocks and minerals.
Rocks and
Keep
minerals
going there.
200. Single letter chemical designation of a diamond. Have to remember the chemistry from high school, which I didn't
Yes.
do. Any
Oh.
idea, Karen?
I'm gonna
Isn't it just carbon? Compressed?
guess. See?
Yeah, I think.
Single letter?
It is C.
Yeah, look at you. Go ahead, Louise.
You
Well-
gave it away with the hint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocks and minerals for 300.
Rocks and minerals 300. Largest block ever found of it in the United States. 56 tons was used for the tomb of the unknown soldier. Largest.
Marble?
What was that?
Marble?
Let's take a look.
That's good.
Marble. Well done.
Yeah.
Absolutely on fire. You're on 1,000 points versus Lewis
Oh.
on 1,900. Karen's catching up. What would you like?
400 rocks and minerals.
400 rocks and minerals. Mark Twain defined it as a hole in the ground with a liar standing at the top. Oh, savage.
A hole in the ground with a liar.
I'm
A
thinking
volcano?
volcano. Karen, any idea?
No. Zero.
I'm thinking a gravesite, and he might not like the priest at the
Oh.
top. It is a mine. Did somebody say
Mine.
mine side?
No.
I actually thought about mine, but what's the
Huh.
liar piece?
Yeah. He must, I don't know, he might think that the guy's just a bullshitter. Excuse my French. Who's
Good.
in control? Karen,
I think Karen is. Yeah.
We'll just keep going to 500. Why not?
rocks and minerals.
I'm avoiding that British history
Yeah,
like the plague.
you're going to have to face it. Fizzing when acid is applied, this mineral is the base of the Portland cement industry. How do you-
Lime?
Lime sounds correct.
Yeah.
Limestone. I'm going to pay that because
Yeah.
it's exactly the same thing. Well done, Lewis.
For sure.
Thank you.
You're in control.
I don't know anything about Rogers and Hammerstein, but I'll
Take the
I'll
plunge.
support Karen's
You're
effort.
avoiding British history like I am.
Character who is corny as Kansas in August. I don't know any characters for these plays. This is tough.
I don't
Yeah,
even know
yeah.
who they are.
Tough.
Dorothy.
Dorothy, let's take a look.
No, the straw man.
It was Nellie Forbush. Of course.
No idea who that
Never
is.
heard of her. Lewis,
Oh.
would you like to finish off this one?
Might as well.
Stuart Damon and Leslie Ann Warren starred in this only Rodgers and Hammerstein musical written for TV. What are all the plays that we can think of? So Oklahoma, King and I. What else? What did they do? Like West Side Story and all that, or was that
Did
something?
they?
I don't know. I'm
I don't know. I would have to Google it.
I'm
I don't remember
uncultured.
all of them.
Let's take a look. It was Cinderella.
Cinderella.
I thought that was
Why did
an
I think that
old
was a Disney
fairy
thing?
tale. I didn't think they wrote that.
I thought it was a Disney thing.
Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Well,
All right.
we've got to
Let's-
face the British history.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Here we go.
What do you think? Start at the top or the bottom there?
Sure. I will do the top first.
Is that the top? You mean the 100? They've
Yeah.
been guarding British royalty since 1485 and gin
Oh.
bottles since 1820.
Oh.
It's a funny name, and it sounds like
Yeah.
somebody that would love steak.
Oh, God.
Or burgers.
I mean, I think you're going towards carnivore, but I have no idea.
Cattlemen? I don't know.
It is the beef eaters. Have you heard of them?
Beef eaters.
Well, yeah.
Ah,
They wear these
Yep.
fancy
And-
outfits and funny hats.
that's not what I was
Yep.
thinking. But
All right, let's continue on. British History 200. Founder of the nursing profession. She was named after the city in which she was born. The famous nurse.
Florence Nightingale.
That's the one.
really? Look at
Oh my
you.
God.
done,
I'm
Karen.
Yeah.
actually going to get something in
You're-
British history. Wow.
You're a ringer.
1200. What would you like?
You were playing me the whole time, Karen.
300. Karen's finishing strong. First Roman army to invade Britain was led by this general. Roman army. Oh,
Caesar?
So it's not British.
could be Caesar.
Roman. Could be Caesar.
I don't really know many of the other ones. There might have been a Claudius or something. Let's take a look. Caesar. Well done,
Hey,
Luis
There you go, Luis.
Hernandez.
Look at you.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Let's get through it. The penultimate Anglo-Saxon king, Edward, was known by this pious title. Now, pious means religious, kind of holy, I think.
Yeah.
Penultimate, does that mean the last?
Yes, the one before the last.
The one before the last. Anglo-Saxon King Edward was known by this pious title. His Holiness is my guess.
Pope? I don't know.
No idea.
Edward the Confessor.
Confessor.
Last
I've never
question.
even
This
heard
is
that
the
before.
toughest game I've ever run, I think. Though it sounds like a grim volume, it's just William the Conqueror's survey of the British Kingdom. It sounds like a grim volume. The Dead Pages or something.
Oh, jeez.
Could be anything. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
The Doomsday Book. Wow, let's wrap this one up. Have a round of applause for our contestants. Very tough game. Lewis
Really tough.
on 2,700 and Karen on 1,200. Well done.
All right.
All right, now Lewis, let's hear about your story. You started out in Colombia or in the US?
Well, no, in the U.S. I was born in the U.S. In Providence, Rhode Island,
Yep.
and kind of grew up between Providence and Queens, New York, and Central Falls, Rhode Island, which is another town, obviously, outside of Providence. But my parents immigrated here from Colombia in the 70s. And, yeah, that's, I don't know. What else? Do you want me to keep going?
Well,
Walk you
the
down memory
main
lane?
story here is that I guess it would have been a struggle, coming over to a new country, and your parents
Right.
would have found it tough, and you've managed to achieve a lot of success. And
Yeah.
tell us a bit about how you did that, and what you did to achieve it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I grew up, son of Colombian immigrants. Spanish was my first language. I didn't know English till about third grade. Before that was in English as a second language classes. And we, grew up in a poor immigrant town, mostly Central Falls, Rhode Island. And I was the first one to graduate high school, go to college, get my master's, all of those. And over time, I got into real estate. I started when I was an undergrad. I went to Northeastern University in Boston, and there I got my license to lease out apartments. When you go to school in Boston, you usually use a realtor for renting apartments. And that's what I did. I rented apartments to my classmates, essentially, and helped me pay my way through college.
So how did you do that? Did you sublet them?
Yeah, not subleasing. So for just regular leases, we represented landlords and went and got students to rent out their apartments. So a lot of student housing.
How did you get the idea that rather than just studying, there was a little bit of a hustle here that you could do? And did you sort of go, who's the landlord? Can I work with you and help you? Is that how you did it?
No, it was pretty organic. I was looking for an apartment in like my second year of college, and because I thought it'd save money, and I went trying to figure out how to get an apartment, and there you go through realtors for everything. So I went to the realtor, became friends. They told me, hey, we got these apartments and you can look at them, and then you got to pay us a fee and equivalent to 1 month's worth of rent, which in Boston has always been a high amount, right? And it's even higher now. So I was like, okay, what does that take? And I found out what it took is go get my license and took the classes all in a week. And Northeastern is a co-op school, which means you go and you take time off to do like a paid internship a few times a year. So I chose to do one of my co-ops as that instead of a traditional go work for a company, and got my license and went and rented apartments for a while. And that's kind of how I got started.
Were you originally thinking that this would be a good way to raise the money to find yourself an apartment, or did you just see the process and think this looks like a good little opportunity?
Yeah. I was always thinking beyond the co-op. The co-ops didn't pay much money. It wasn't really enough to pay for school or anything like that. So I always needed to pay for the apartment, for school, for books, and my family was really poor. So sometimes I'd send money back home too. So I had to do all that. So I thought this was a lucrative venture that I could, quickly do. I knew all the students. They were at Northeastern where I went. So it was pretty easy. Just go sign up with a place that has the apartments and go and do it. I wasn't even thinking too much about using a co-op to make it a career or anything like that. I was thinking, what can I make the most money with now? And I thought that was it. And it was good. Well, for that purpose. Yeah.
Awesome. And what do you do now? You primarily invest in real estate, or do you help people learn how to invest in real estate?
Yeah, all of the above. I have a little brokerage called the Pioneer Group Realty here in Denver, Colorado. And we do everything from helping people buy their first home to selling their homes and all that, but also investment. My favorite is really, I believe that real estate can be a vehicle for, financial wellness. So you can, try to help people understand how to get a home first, and then using build equity in it and use that to invest in other real estate and grow from there. But now I also represent, family offices, institutions in both buying and selling. So pretty much the whole gambit. Over time, I've just gotten into it. Had a little team that helps me with the residential deals, and I'll still do primarily the larger commercial institutional deals and such. So I'll assemble land for developers, sometimes go knock on doors and try to get some parcels together for a developer to go and build some of that. And then I also invest and help others invest. I help them develop their strategies that are going to be right for them at where they're at, and grow from there. I have a lot of foreign clients from other countries who come here, and I help them get into the market and find the partners for that, in LPs and such to invest in. And then oftentimes I get equity positions in some of these deals, or I'll go and raise capital for deals I find on my own that people bring me that I think are interesting.
And you talk about this in the Wayfinder Show?
No.
What do you do in the Wayfinder Show?
Yeah, the Wayfinder Show is really my passion project. It's a way of reaching my way. I feel very fortunate to go from where I started in life to where I am now. And the Wayfinder Show is a way of reaching others and inspiring them to be their best selves, right? To find their dream life and pursue it. So we usually interview folks or have conversations with folks who might have an inspiring story to tell of how they overcame some big hurdle in their life, or it could be just subject matter experts in an area that are going to help us level up, So I'd love to have Karen on, as I know she's going to explain what she does, but I think a lot of us are entrepreneurs, and we can use the services that she provides. So we talk to other entrepreneurs, other real estate investors, lawyers, accountants, whatever that can help us really level up a lot of mindset. Because I think everything begins in the mind. If you have limitations there, if you're full of fear and pessimism and such, then, you're not going to get anywhere. And so overcoming some of those mental hurdles and limiting beliefs are a lot of what we talk about. And we bring in a lot of experts to help with that as well.
Awesome. And you got your 100th episode coming up soon?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Years ago, I read this one book that really changed the way I do business and life. It's called The Go Giver by Bob Berg. And now, if anybody's heard it, it's an awesome little book. It's a fable, only like 123 pages long. You'll read it in a couple hours, but it'll change your life. And I first read it. It changed my life. It changed the way I do business. Now, anybody who wants to do business with me or wants to work with me, I give them that book, and that's kind of like the audition or the interview. The reaction to that book is going to tell me if it's somebody I want to work with. Right? If they can relate to that and they want to give unselfishly to people and really help, contribute, give value to society and others and help them, then I know that they're people I want to be with. So going back to the 100th episode, that was kind of on my vision board, was to meet the author, and I recorded that episode, and we're going to release it as our 100th.
Cool.
And so that was a bit of a dream come true. It's really, really, really exciting.
Well, that's great. I'm going to read that book because I get the best references for things to read from this podcast. And
Excellent. Well, I'll send it to you. Where do you? I'm assuming by your Colorado accent makes me think you might have
Colorado
become an expatriate.
a little bit south of Colorado.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you located?
Western Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You don't
so
have
it might
to
be
send
easier
it.
for you. Yeah.
I'll just grab a copy from Amazon
Okay.
and I'll check out your 100th show as well because I love these little books that definitely they affect people and people tell you about them, and that's the best way to find out about books, I find. So I've got another one I'm looking at as well from the podcast. So that's one of my favorite things to do. That's great. And if you want to check out Lewis's podcast, and also if did you say you're in Denver?
Yeah, I'm in Denver, but I could help anybody pretty much all over the country, maybe even the world. But in the U.S., I have partnerships set up all over. I attend a lot of national conferences and have good partnerships there. And so if somebody just wants to sit and come up with a strategy for themselves, whether it be to buy their first home or develop, an investment portfolio, yeah, they can go to my website. It's pioneergrouprealty.com, and they can click for a 15-minute interview for free right there.
Hey, the one thing that stood out was you mentioned family groups wanting to get into investing, and I thought that was quite interesting because, things are the affordability crisis of everything lately. And do you get many people coming as a family unit that kind of pooling their resources to get into property?
Well, that's a little different. I do some of that myself, like syndications where I find a good deal and we'll pull together, friends and family to get a deal like that. Yeah, what I meant by family offices is really there's these when somebody hits a certain level of wealth, they oftentimes will form an office to go and look for investment opportunities. And they might even hire somebody to do that, or even a whole team. Some of these family, like I'm sure Elon Musk has a whole corporate office of people who just go and explore business opportunities, investment opportunities. So those are the people I work with, especially I have a lot from Latin America, wealthy families who come here and they're looking to invest in the United States because, something's going bad there and they want to have their money in a safer asset here in the States. So they work with them. But I also have a lot of American families that I do some work for.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for all of that, Lewis. Very interesting. And, if you want to get in touch with Lewis, his details are in the show notes. Thank you, Lewis Hernandez.
Thank you, Julian. This has been a real honor.
All right. And we're going to chat to Karen Evers now about HR. And you you're in the corporate world in HR, so you know the kind of pointy end of it. And it's a thing that causes a lot of stress for people. But you're going to tell us that it doesn't need to be painful. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your story and what you're doing now?
For sure. So pretty much all I've done is HR. I started out in college as a HR major. I was president-elect of my student chapter of a very large global HR organization, and got really unimpressed with the profession, and this was in the 90s, it was very much, sometimes people were still calling it personnel. It was very regulatory, very black and white checkboxing kind of exercise. And I hated that. And so I thought that HR was not for me until I got out of college. I did change my major. I got out of it, everything entirely, saying that is not my thing. I don't want to get out of bed every day and do that. And then I fortunately, when you get out of college, you just take a job that you think is going to be reasonably interesting and you take it just because you're broke and you need a job. And the first one that came at me was in a embedded executive search function of a regional bank in Boston. And and fortunately, very early on in my career, I had a couple of very senior mentors that I worked with who showed me that HR is not necessarily a box checking exercise and it doesn't have to be awful, and that you could actually really help employers and help managers and help leaders get a better business by managing HR well. And that you really had to have a business lens and understand what they were doing. And what they were trying to accomplish in order to help them. And that's kind of like, that was the beginning and it has been for the last 26 years.
And so
So,
you've got your own philosophy, and what does that involve, and how is it different, and how is it better?
yeah, so my philosophy is that people first, meaning we take care of the employees and we care a lot about the employee experience, and it will pay back in dividends. I believe that happy employees are profitable employees. And I think that that is, as long as I can get business owners to understand that, and understand that you have to create a culture and experience for your employees that supports the business. It's actually very business forward. If you think of it that way, it's going to serve the business. And so that's a very different than what a lot of people think HR is. Fortunately, my profession is coming around to a much more progressive, modern view of what we can do and how we operate. That's much more understanding of the business and much more strategic. Yeah, I love working with business owners to help them understand kind of the human component and what it takes to motivate humans and actually really want them to be there. We spend a ton of time at work. Everybody does, right? And let's make it a place where people want to be, because if they want to be there, they're going to put in discretionary effort and have smiles on their faces. And guess what? Your customers are going to have smiles on their faces because your employees have smiles on their faces. And that's really important to me. And so every day in and day out, I help business owners navigate all those things to make sure that the humans support the business. But you have to be people first, and that's a balance for a lot of business owners.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said you look after the employee, because that's one of the conflicts with HR, is that the HR professional tends to be focused on the client and making them happy, and they just kind of they just want to pop a person in there, so they've filled it, and then that person, they don't really know what's going on with that person, if they're happy, if they're a good fit. So how do we do it differently?
Yeah, for sure. It's a matter of managing the employee experience really from the get-go so that it actually really feels like, it's authentic to the business and the culture and the core values of the organization, and that it attracts the right candidates. We hire the right candidates. We make sure that it's a really great fit. I say that there's a bus and then there's seats on the bus, and sometimes people are in the wrong seats, right? They just have the wrong role or the wrong responsibilities. And then sometimes it's the wrong bus. And so what we want to make sure is first and foremost that it's the right bus. We can often figure out different things for people to do based on their strengths, but let's make sure it's the right bus and we have all the right people on the bus. And then we figure out kind of roles and responsibilities and figuring out like who's, what strengths do different people have, and make sure that they're in the right seat so that, everybody's rowing in the same direction. Like now we're going into boats here, but as long as we're rowing in the same direction. But that's really very much, kind of honing that process all the way from beginning to end. I say application to retirement. because that's really what it is. That's what you want it to be. And so that's everything from, what does the application and the recruiting process look like? How are you onboarded? How are you trained? How are you supported, motivated, recognized, kind of performance managed, all those kinds of things, and then, that leads to engagement. And so that's what we try and do is hone all of that so that you have the right people on the bus and that they're all rowing in the same direction.
And I saw that you do fractional HR. Is that different to the way it works? In my experience, is that it's like you have a contract with a HR company, and you go from there, and then you renew the contract or you don't. And is fractional different from that, and how so?
So there's a few different versions of outsourced HR. And so you can, and we do kind of all of it. I go out the front gate with fractional just because I've been a senior leader in a variety of organizations. And so a lot of small businesses don't have the bandwidth to have somebody who's super strategic and senior in this space. And so I do it kind of on a part-time, basis for very small businesses. So I have about 12 companies that I do that for. Yeah, I mean, they're contracts. And so, it is still a contracted consulting service. But it's not necessary. It doesn't have to be like the whole thing. Maybe it's just I'm sitting on their leadership team and giving them advice.
More flexibility for different types of businesses.
For sure.
And what businesses are you looking to work with mostly?
Yeah, for sure. So I work with mostly companies under 100 employees. I don't really care about revenue because that's not where the complexity in my world comes from. It's really about the headcount and about the complexity of that headcount. And so if it's a very manual labor, non-exempt sort of, at least that's a term in the US for employees, frontline workers, if it's really heavy on that side, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than a business like a law firm. And so it kind of depends. I love professional services and tech companies. So anything from CPAs, architects, engineers, law firms, medical practices. I spent 10 years in nonprofit, so I do some work with nonprofits as well. And so that's kind of my sweet spot. But in reality, I have manufacturing companies. I have biotech companies. I have a variety of kind of a smattering of companies, but love those professional services firms.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be pretty good. They'd pay on time and wouldn't give you too much hassle, the lawyers and stuff. Awesome. Well, if you want to get in touch with Karen Evers, all her details are on there. And have you got anything exciting coming up you want to tell us about?
Gosh, I'm launching a new kind of newsletter that's not just a newsletter. So it's going to be video based with little snippets of, what I'm calling the 1-minute HR wonders, and then doing a follow-up kind of webinar on those topics every month. And so that will be launching on LinkedIn here in the next week. So that'll be something to look out for.
Oh, luckily you had something coming up. Put you on the spot there.
It's all good. I always have something up my sleeve. It's okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for a wonderful guest. I'm going to wrap things up there. Let's have a round of applause. Lewis Hernandez and Karen Evers. Thank you very much for joining and playing. And I'll see you next time, everyone.